Alright, welcome to this tutorial. Oh, wait, that's a bit embarrassing, isn't it? Welcome to this tutorial. So today we're going to be building a compiler using vanilla JavaScript. Not going to be using TypeScript. I don't really know why I've chosen to do this, but here we go. If you're interested in building something like this, definitely use a language with type safety. JavaScript is just completely detached from reality, so just bear that in mind. Anyway, let's get started. So we're going to create a Git repository and we're going to call it js.compile. I'm going to leave description blank for now, make it public. We don't need a readme yet, we can make some documentation later. So we can use a node, git ignore, and MIT license, because we love open source. Okay, cool. So now we're going to clone this. Actually, what am I doing? Let's do like this. I'm going to do make address. So let's just make sure we do there we go. Got our hello world basically finished. So no, that's a joke. So let's have a think about what we are gonna do. So we need to make a compiler, and generally a compiler is going to take in some kind of input text. So this could be a string, this could be a file. For now we're just going to focus on something like a very basic string. So we'll do something like input like 1 plus 3. So someone might input 1 plus 3 into our compiler, and what's going to happen? So the first stage of any sort of compiler is lexing, or using a Lexer. And what this does is it basically takes this input text and converts it into tokens. So it tokenizes the input. And what this means is, if we take our 1 plus 3 as our example, take our 1 plus 3 as example, we basically return a list of tokens. Now a token in this input would be something like 1, or plus, or 3, or white space. So it needs to work out what is actually relevant within this string and what isn't. So the white space wouldn't matter, but we need to be able to detect that anyway. The 1 and the 3 would be a number token because they're numbers. And as a note, only concerned with integers for now, just to make things a bit easier. So these would be integers, and then we've got a plus token here as well. So what this would look like if we tokenized it, we'd have 1 token, then we'd have a white space token, then we'd have a plus token, another white space token, and our 3 token. So this is what we'd have. Just essentially a list of tokens. So that's what the Lexer would return, and then the next stage would be a parser. So parser will go through this list of tokens and then create an abstract syntax tree. So it goes through the tokens and creates an abstract syntax tree, or an AST. So this is basically just a way of representing all of the tokens and sort of giving them like a hierarchy, so we know what's operating on what order we should be operating in, and stuff like that. So the abstract syntax tree for this would look like this. So oops, and 3, like that. So yeah, really basic, but this this will get much more complicated as the input gets larger. So this is really, we need to be really careful about how we go about this, but we're not going to worry about that for now. We're going to focus on that within the next episode. And then finally we need to sort of analyze and calculate. So we use the abstract syntax tree and perform type checking and any relevant calculations / operations. So this stage we'd go through the abstract syntax tree, and then we'd calculate 1 plus 3 and then return 4, because that's what the answer is. So this is a really basic overview of like compiler design. I just want to note I never did computer science, so if any of this is wrong, and it probably is, then just basically slack me off in the comments and I'll have a look. So yeah, so let's get started. So I guess we can leave that here for now. So we're going to want to do this in the terminal, so let's have a while loop. So in JavaScript, I can't really figure out how to get text from standard input, so we're going to want to create a function. So if we do const input equals get std in, and actually what we'll do is we'll wrap this in a function, because the way we're going to get the information from std in is by using some kind of node library, and I'll show you show you that in a second. So we'll call this main for now, and then we'll just chuck this in here, and we're gonna need to await this. So let's write our get std function, async function. Now in Node.js, there's quite a useful library called readline. So we're going to import that by doing a require. And basically we're going to create a readline object. Sorry, not an object, so create interface. And this takes an object as an argument, and just basically tells the input. So we can change this to whatever input we want, but we want standard in for now. And then output, we want standard out. So that's good. And then because this whole module is asynchronous, JavaScript loves its async libraries. We're going to wrap this in a promise, just to prevent against things like race conditions and basically any code after this executing before we've actually got our input. So if we just do it in a promise, then it should be fine. So we want our resolve callback. We're going to do rl.question, and then this is the sort of, so you see in the terminal we've got this like $sign, this is like our prompt, this is where we'll be writing our question. So we'll just put, for now we'll just do a little arrow, but we could change that to whatever we want. And then the second argument is a callback function, which basically this input like object is what we give standard input basically. So we'll close once we've received that, and resolve our and we'll resolve our promise. Okay, cool. Semicolons. So that looks good. Let's do, so this should be working now, so let's do log input. Let's try this. So it's not working. Oh my god. Okay, great. So yeah, so you can see now we've got our sort of interpreter here. We're getting the input and basically just logging it back to the user. So let's just add in an if statement. If input equals, let's do like a little command. So if we do quit, then we want to break. Let's also console.log exiting. So we do #exit. oh sorry, hashtag quit, I'm an idiot. Then it quits. And then we can just do add more commands here. So these are just sort of like static commands we can add. For example, we could add, let's add a clear command, just might be quite useful. Hashtag clear, console.clear, and continue. Didn't like that. Okay, I don't know why I wasn't doing that before, but that's really weird. Okay, cool. So let's start to add our Lexer now. So we'll do let Lexer equal new Lexer. When we create our Lexer object, we're going to pass in the input to it. So let's create Lexer.js. So constructor. What we're going to do is going to pass in input, and we're going to do this dot input equals input. Let's call this input text because I might use input a bit later. Cool. So we've got that. What else we're going to need? We're going to need this dot tokens equals empty array. So this is going to store all of our tokens once we've tokenized the input, and then we'll do this dot token types, and again we'll have an empty array for that. We'll populate that array in a minute. So this will just have the different types of tokens that we're going to be looking for, and for our Lexer, it's going to be quite a simple one. We're just going to use regex matching to basically go through the input text and figure out which is a token, which isn't. So that's fine for now. So let's make a method called tokenize. Let's just start by logging the input text, and then what we'll do is actually let's just get rid of that line altogether. So basically we're just making sure we've created this class properly, just logging the input to name. It might help if we input letter. Might also need to as well. We'll do your node. So I'll try to save all that. Okay, there we go. Don't know why I forgot that, but there we go. So now we're just printing whatever we have out, so we've set up this properly. So now let's have a think about the logic behind this, because ours is going to be quite simple. So we're going to have this variable current index. Now our input text is just a string, so what I think probably the most intuitive way to do it is just go through every character in the input and just we'll match against it using regex. So while current index is less than input text length, so we're going to get the length of this and basically just go through until we get to the end of that. So while that, we'll initialize a variable called matched token, and we'll just initialize that to null. And now what we're going to do, let's have a think about our token types. So for now we'll focus on just our 1+2 example as before. So we'll create a little object, we'll give it the fields type, and we'll call it a number, and we'll have regex for a number. So if we do, I think in JavaScript it's like this. So looking for, I think D is just any number 0 to 9, and then plus just keeps going until there's no more numbers. So that looks good. Now, in this token types thing, we're going to want to add some other ones as well. We're going to want to add our plus operator. So this is a binary operator, and a regex for that will be. This might be a bit more complicated because we're going to want. I think if we do it like in a little list like this, so we're going to want plus, minus, star, and divide like that. So we need a comma there. So I think that looks okay. I'll check that in a minute. Okay, so now we're going to go for each token type in token types. So if we do token type of this dot token types, we're going to try and match. We're going to try and match with input text up to the current index, if that makes sense. So if we do regex result, we'll call it regex result, and we're going to go this dot input text dot slice, and we're going to slice it at current index. So if you think what we've got is, if we've got a string 1 plus 2, this while loop is just going to go through all of the indices of this string. So it's going to go through 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then when it hits 4, it's the last one, and then it will be stopped. So this is basically taking the slice up to this. So the first slice will be this, the second slice will be like this, third slice will be like that, and it'll keep going through the input. It's not the quickest way of doing things, but let's just get it working, and then we can worry about speed down the line. So we want to match this with our regex. So token type dot regex, and that looks good. Now, if we get a match, if regex result, and regex result dot index 0, then we're going to want to do, let's const value equals regex result 0, because it returns a list of all of the matches. So this is basically the value of the token. We'll also do the type. We know what type it is from this because we've matched it against it. And that's good. So now we've got our token, let's put it in our tokens array. So we'll do, remember our empty array here, we're just going to push, if we do just like this for now, we can modify this a bit later. We'll do type, and then let's actually call this token type, and then we'll do token value, like that. Cool. So that looks good. And then once we've matched this, then we want to increment the while loop. Basically, we could just do like current index plus, but that's not really going to work, because if we've got like a number that's like more than one character long, so say we've got this, then we're only going to push it along to there, and then it's going to match again. We're going to get duplicate results. So what we want to increment by is the length of the current token, if that makes sense. So the length of the value of the current token. And then we'll do matched token equals token type dot type. And we can actually just do type like that. And then we break. And then it will just go on to the next one. So that looks fine. I think we'll add if not match token. Oops. we'll just add an error here. So we could throw an error, but we'll actually just console log an error. Error, let's do unrecognized token. And rather than we'll do backticks. So this should, if we mess up, it should print the current token here, and then we'll return from that. So that all looks fine. This method needs to return this.tokens, and yeah, that looks okay. I didn't realize how big this terminal was. Let's do console.log tokens as well. This.tokens, and let's try running this. So what does it look like? Match token. Oh, I think this should be up here. Not bad. Cool. Okay. Yeah, looks good. So it's passing our input. So let's try doing a bit more of a complicated one. So 3 + 1. Okay. So it's not recognizing white space. Let's add in a white space type. Probably should have done that to begin with, but there we go. We'll just call this white space. And a regex for white space. I'm just going to look this up. It's pretty similar to this, to be fair. It's \s. \s plus. So let's try this again. And there we go. So it's tokenized it, got our 3 white space plus white space and 1. So if we go back to here, we can see it's basically done what we want, but we've added a bit more extra. We've got the type of it and we've got the value, so it just makes this sort of last a bit easier. Also, before I end, let's just commit all of this. Let's call this episode 1 Lexer. Oh no, wait, let's do. So I should have added everything. Added initial, putter, and start Lexer. Let's probably do that. We'll add some more stuff to this later, but for now, that's all I've got for you. Thanks for watching.